Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the show and today's banter topic. Satya, when do you feel like you peaked in life? Were you like I know the answer to this is a no, but were you a high school? Did you peak in high school?
No.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
When do you feel like you peaked?
Okay, I will say that I had like 1 year when I was like 17 where I was really hot and I was dating a ton. I was getting all kinds of attention and I was in college because I started college early and man, that was a good year. But I wouldn't say that was my ultimate peak. It was just a notable year.
Sweet.
My hotness has declined significantly since then. Okay, but I think overall, I am definitely finding a lot of really great years in my 40s.
Yeah.
I'm probably past my peak currently at age 45. But I think in my 40s was when I've really hit my stride in my career and felt a sense of happiness and contentment in my life and been having really great training and feeling like I'm at a good place mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all around.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah, because like the question, maybe the follow-up question should have been like, what does it mean to peak? Like,
Right.
What is the peak?
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
I'm speaking very broadly, like not getting into all the nitty gritty of what exactly peaking means, which I'm sure we'll cover shortly. But
Yes. Right.
yeah. How about you?
I would say I don't like. There was maybe maybe a portion of my senior year in high school where I felt like I was peaking. I was just like relative to all my other schooling years, like that was a good year. Like doing good in sports, doing great in school, wasn't too difficult to do those things. Like was getting a lot of attention in the dating relationship scene, but it also felt like this is so not complicated. I don't need to complicate this. Although people like to make drama in high school for sure. I remember there being some drama around, I'm not going to prom with you. I'm leaving my options open. Last minute, like we should go to prom together. I'm pretty sure we should go to prom together. But yeah, that was a small. Then there was like, probably like, there were some peak years in my late 20s, early 30s, like that. I was just like, I say they're peak. There's things about now that are certainly peaking, but it was like the ascension of my CrossFit career, which was so exciting, and it's really kind of the origin story behind so much of what like led to my deep desire and motivation and drive and inspiration to I don't know, start a business or evolve a business, my business. And it was also when, it was pre-kids. So Megan and I had just so much more time on our hands to engage with each other in the way that like however we wanted to. We were both super into fitness. We trained together a ton. Like there was like a 3-month period where we worked out double days every day together for like, games prep, like, which is cool. So yeah, those were kind of cool years, but then again, like that's not how I would define peaking if I was trying to do that now. Like if I was still doing the same thing, I would be like, what are you doing with your life, dude? Like, it's not the time.
Right. Yeah. Well, we should introduce a little bit more of
Go
our
ahead.
topic.
Yeah, you please. It's your topic.
It's my topic, and this is inspired by a question that I saw posted on Reddit, which was basically asking, when you were at your peak, what was going on in your life? What were the factors? What's the X factor of contributing to your peak? And I just thought that was a really interesting question to think about from the perspective of what does peaking mean if you are looking at it through a lens of maybe I'm at my physical prime and I'm at the height of my competitive career. And then as we know, life goes on. And so does that mean it's over or what comes after that? And so I think it's interesting to think about how we think about peaking, given our audience of people who tend to prioritize more of a balanced approach to physical vitality and also being able to enjoy other aspects of their life without that being the sole focus.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that you can expect something else that I would like to touch on today is that you can expect how you define peak. You should expect how you define that to change over time. But we get so fixated on periods of time in our life when we were peaking because of just the way that period of time made us feel. And then it's like, I want to replicate that now. I want it to look like it used to look, but to replicate the feeling, it's probably going to look very different, at this different stage of life. It's like people who are, they're stuck in high school because that was like such their great years.
Yeah.
And then, but if they were really living high school today, like at 40 or 45, it probably wouldn't generate that same feeling. It's just that's gone. That phase of life has sailed, and you could be, you can feel some loss, you can feel whatever pains, emotional pains that come with that. But it also is like important to just recognize that that's reality and that the next chapter of your life or the next peak, will look different. And if you can embrace that, then you can be that much closer to finding what that might be.
Yeah. It reminds me of another post that I also saw on Reddit, which was asking a separate question. What feeling are you trying to chase? Like, what is that one feeling that you're still trying to get back to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I just talked about this peak period, but then I can actually go way back to I'm remembering back when I was, in college. There was this period of time in college where I was, and I guess I've talked about it quite a bit as like the fallout from this period of time in my life where like on the back end of it, I kind of pushed it too far. I overdid it. I, did the calorie deficit thing, too much intensity, injured myself, blah, blah, blah. But like well before I reached like the tipping point where things got kind of messy and ugly for me was this like incredible period of time where everything I was doing felt repeatable, sustainable, like it didn't feel particularly hard. It felt like I was disciplined and I was focused and I had a goal, like really anything that I had done later on in life in a more sensible way where I had like a goal. It was like I felt that every day. I woke up and I felt purpose, I felt drive, I felt energy. I was doing like I had tremendous like spring out of bed, like and I kind of just was like from the moment I woke up to I went to bed, like I was energetic, I felt good, mind was clear, knew what I wanted to do, go to bed, slept like a baby, never woke up, didn't wake up to pee at night. Like it was like in bed at 9 or 9:30 or 10 and then wake up at 8 and then do the whole thing over again. It was like clockwork. And that feeling, I still remember to this day, like, damn, that was a good feeling. Like I want that feeling back. And what were the pieces that went into creating that feeling? Like, do I want to replicate my lifestyle then, which was, living in an apartment in Berkeley with my roommates, waking up at 7:30, going to MCAT class, prep class, like studying all morning, then like having a lunch, doing another study session in the afternoon, going to work out with my buddy at 2, then like working out for 2 hours, coming home, studying some more, have dinner, go to bed, rinse and repeat. Like it was the same thing every day. And it felt so good. Like, and I just felt my physically and mentally and purpose driven, like it was just all dialed. But I don't really want to do those things. Like, that's not what gets me excited. It's just that, like you said, it's that, how do you define that feeling? What's the feeling you're chasing?
Mm-hmm. Do you think, though, that if we're talking about pieces that contribute to a really good feeling, a really sustainable feeling in your life, do you think that consistency and rhythm are two factors?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that was kind of, and those are the things I come back to try and replicate. It's like, okay, well, back then it was like I did the same thing every day. That's, that creates rhythm. And rhythm, breeds it allows you to be so attuned to like what your body's physical manifestations are going to, like how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
Like if I eat the same thing at the same time every day, and if I work out at the same time, and like, you can get so rhythm based that like you'll just be sitting there and you're like, oh, I feel hungry. Must be 1 o'clock.
Right.
You look at your watch, 1 o'clock. It's like your body just sends you this signal because you've eaten the same meals at the same time, at the same, your body just knows.
Yeah.
And that was always so powerful for me. It's why I've been talking about it, ever since to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I remember just like that. It showed up the most with like sleep. Like I'm remembering this period of time and the group of friends that I was with, and like, not that we all did the same thing, but we would spend time together. And I remember going on a vacation at the end of college with or sometime in our senior year, we all went out to Bear Valley and stayed at my friend's cabin. And I'd never gone on like a weekend trip with like college friends. Like I didn't do that much. Like I was in the soccer program, like weekends were busy with that. Like, but we like went camping together. And I remember like we were at this cabin out in the woods, and like this rhythm that I had been on like every day, like where my body just like in in Berkeley, like, think it's like 3 months. We go out into like the woods for four days. Like my body was like on the same exact rhythm, like the time, like when I was tired, when I woke up, like when I was going to eat, like it was just so ingrained in me, even though we were in like this very remote, different place, like with not the same schedule. I wasn't studying. But like my body's clock was just so consistent.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, damn, this is cool. Like I don't have to like wonder how I'm going to feel today.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just know how I'm going to feel today.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'll pause there, but
yeah. Well, I'd like to think about how we approach training in this context, because I think that some people get really attached to the feeling of being at their physical peak, which can only last for so long, typically when you're younger. And so how do we think about contributing to the same type of reward without getting so attached to numbers on the bar, or how many workouts I could do in a day, or my score on the board, or anything like that?
Yeah. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
You stumped.
I think it's well, this is why I've had this. This was one of my biggest conflicts with the tail end of my competitive fitness career, was that going all the way back to that time in my 20s, early 20s or late teenage years, like I fell in love with training so deeply because of the way it made me feel. At the time, there were some objective measures of like, I'm getting stronger, numbers on the bar, but it really wasn't like, it wasn't a focus. It was not like that's what I went to the gym feeling like, or feel like focusing on. Like I went to the gym to work hard, because when I did the work and I worked hard and I followed the plan, like I left and I felt particularly good.
Yeah.
And I was also playing soccer, and we were like, how did this make me perform on the soccer field? It wasn't like, let's perform great in the gym, like, and that's what we all care about. It's like, nobody really cared that I was bench pressing more than anybody else on the team. Like, that didn't matter because we were trying to win soccer games. So that was what people were focused on. And sadly, my bench press never really got us that Pac-10 championship.
Damn it.
Yeah. Fuck. I mean, that was the coach's fault for not starting me. I mean, you know, you never know how my bench press could have helped us win. Anyhow.
It's soccer.
That's soccer. Well, hey, as the goalie, come out, punch a ball, just fucking full field.
Just flies out of the stadium.
Yeah, full field goal. First goalie to ever punch a ball into the net. I mean, if you were in the, like, if I did it from my penalty box all the way across the field, it would be legal. I think there might have been somebody who like threw a ball far enough, but I couldn't throw it that far. Back on track here. Okay, so I fall in love with training. Yeah. Because of the way it makes me feel. Also, a little bit of like, oh, I can make my body look a particular way.
Oh yeah.
But I recognized was more diet than it was like the train. I mean, it was like obviously a combination, but that was diet. So I'm like, I just love to train. I love because of the way it makes you feel. And then you put in enough years of training consistently and hard, whatever the motivation is, you're going to start to see yourself get a little stronger, and like things are going to get better for a period of time. Because that's how, like, you know, hormones and the whole
that's how the whole thing
that's all the physiological thing works. It's like if you work hard, you are pushing yourself, and you like it enough to keep doing it, then time will help you, will yield some objective result that is like more weight lifted, etc. So then it's like I'm arriving at this point now where, what was helping me peak and feel my best became this thing to like exploit in a competitive sport called CrossFit. It's like, okay, take this thing. Look, you love doing this thing, so go do it for points now. And which was great, and really I loved it for a number of years. And then towards the end, I was like, damn, like I've kind of stretched this so far now where it's not even about how I don't even feel good anymore. Like, I don't feel really good. I feel accomplished for my ability to perform, but now I'm basically like pushing this so hard every day to try and stretch the limits of my peak performance that I've lost the feeling.
Yeah.
Like, I recall many days where I'm like, I just want to get back to feeling good.
Yeah.
I just want to get back to like, I came and I trained hard and I got a good pump and I felt good. And that was like my body I was forced into doing that because I was injured at the end of CrossFit career, super injured. And so it was like, okay, go back to training in a different way to kind of feel good. And that's when like the light bulbs go off. It's like, hey, this is what functional bodybuilding could be like, right? Yeah. But now it had been 15 years since that peak feeling that I had like kind of gravitated towards in my early 20s. And so it was like, okay, well now I'm like chasing that feeling from when I was 20, but a decade and a half have passed, and I put a lot of wear and tear on my body, and my lifestyle is way different now, and I have different sets of responsibilities, and I have different stressors. So the same inputs just won't yield that same feeling now. Right. It's like I can't, is what I was saying. It's like, hey, we get so fixated on like, I want to feel like I did when I was 19. It's like, yeah, well, you're not 19. Yeah. You're 38. Fuck, that's a whole nother lifetime that just passed up. Like, no wonder, you're not sleeping right until 7:30 and then falling asleep at 9:30 and doing it like clockwork every day. And, it's like, yeah, there's other things happening.
Yeah, that's right. So How do you think about it now in terms of what goes into feeling like you're optimizing how you feel in your body day to day?
I mean, I have to, well, rather than, I think I can expand a little bit more on your previous questions, because I don't think we fully got there for somebody who's listening. It's like, how do you approach training to like optimize for a feeling?
Yeah.
Well, it starts by getting unplugged and disconnected from the objective outcomes, right? Like we talk about progressive overload, and we talk about like this conceptually, like how to make progress in the gym. That is very like focused on the relative beginner intermediate person who's still on the climb upwards in training. That is so valuable. Like without that, like you never even get to experience the thing that like I'm talking about, where I was like, I came in, I worked hard, I wanted to push myself, it felt good. Like I didn't necessarily need to strive for a 400-pound back squat. I was just like, I just want to push a little harder than last time. And like you do that in your early years, and that yields like a very potent, response and feeling that is great. You can obviously take that too far. But I guess what I'm saying is if you've been in it for a while, if you're kind of in your intermediate to more advanced years of training, then it really is important to like maybe pull back a little bit from the objective numbers. So I'm kind of creating like two different camps here. Are you on the upswing of like your early fitness journey where it's like you're kind of, maybe you're past the newbie gains, or maybe you're still in that, like you're still in that stretch where come in, train hard, you get results, you recover in a day or two, you feel good, like go for it, right? And then at some point it's like you're now on the back half of your, intermediate to advanced training career, and you're starting to become, you're 5, maybe 10 years or more into this thing, and hanging on to those objective numbers, wanting to get them better and better, is going to require you to push yourself harder and harder, add more intensity to what you're doing, which it goes beyond like the feel good mentality. It must, like for someone to win world championships or to like be the best at what they do, like it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel good. The reward of doing it, like at the end, feels amazing. The discipline, the hard work, all those things, but like the physical feeling of it is just terrible.
Not good.
And some people, like, they can be rewarded with enough fame, money, or they're wired in a very unusual way to just really like truly be fulfilled through pain and suffering and hard, but that's like a very small group of people.
Yep.
And so that is kind of like an important way to kind of reframe training at a certain point, where it's like, let's get better, let's get stronger, let's keep pushing ourselves. And then you've learned how to do that. Now it's like, just get into the gym, give sufficient effort, don't push beyond that. Otherwise, it's going to derail parts of your life and make you tired and cranky and maybe injured. And just learn how to ride that line of like, I'm pushing hard enough. And if you periodically need like a reminder of what it feels like to really push hard, then like set yourself up for that. Go in, get a training partner, go train with someone half your age, have them push you and be like, oh shit, that's what it feels like to really go hard. But you got to, at that point, it's like now you're auto-regulating based upon a feeling you're trying to achieve, not a number that's supposed to be on the bar or like, a maximum or anything like that.
I think another thought to add to this is that there's a sense of maturity that develops around your relationship to how you feel when you're physically thriving. And I don't know, something I've been thinking about lately is that when I was like first getting into functional bodybuilding and I was working like really hard on my Olympic lifts and there was a time when like I kept getting better and better and better. And then I hit like my all-time snatch PR and like my all-time like, lifting numbers. And in a way, like I'm still chasing those because then I was injured and then took a long time to recover and like come back to it. But there's something about watching my old snatch videos when I was like hitting those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at them and I'm like, you know what? My technique is so much better now. And there are things about my movement quality and these subtle things that really have taken a lot of time to develop and to appreciate. And I value that more now than that feeling. And it's tricky because there's still something so compelling about that feeling of being super strong and like hitting those particular numbers and just feeling like you're crushing it, And there's something a little bit, I don't know if it's sad or wistful to feel like I may be past the point where I can ever reach that again. I don't know. Maybe not. But there will be a day when that's true for me, nevertheless.
Yeah.
And so there is this mix of not negating how amazing that feeling is and really appreciating that moment in time for what it was, but then also really deeply appreciating what comes after that in terms of physicality and a mature approach to training.
Yeah. That resonates for sure. I love that. And I think that we should all be so lucky to go through a period of time like that where we feel, God, I'm really crushing it. It's something to, like you said, like it's look back and be grateful for that period of time and just acknowledge just how special that was. And that not in like a, I'll never have it again, because you want to leave room for that. Go ahead, continue to leave room for it until you're like, no, it's gone. It's past. But until then, it's like, that's what we want to create for our clients too. I want everybody to have that period of, damn, for like 18 months, 2 years, I was just on the upswing, crushing it, killing it. And that just serves, like, it's great to have periods of time in your life where you're like, damn, I was peaking, rather than like, damn, that was my peak. Because I don't believe, we're not destined to just have one peak in life. We have many peaks and they happen at different phases, and hopefully each one can inform what the next one is, and we don't just get stuck believing like this is where we were supposed to, this is, we peaked here and we should have stayed at that for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
You can, just like an athlete can only peak once a year for their like big season, big competition, big Super Bowl, whatever, we're not meant to just ride highs. The hope is that you can develop an understanding of like what the behaviors and consistencies are in your life that help you arrive at a peak. And then you arrive there, you ride it for a little bit, and then life changes and something changes, or you just need to take a break and switch gears because you eventually get like burned out, or not burned out, but like kind of like, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this thing. Like, and so can you develop behaviors and habits that you can sustain enough consistency to sort of start to build your next foundation for your next peak? And that might take 10 years. Yeah. It might be like every 10 years, like you have a peak in life where you're like, damn, those were good couple years.
Yeah. And
that's okay, because the troughs, the valleys between those peaks are like above average, like good. Like, if you're doing, unless you maybe get stuck in like, oh, like my life sucks because I'm not like PRing my snatch every week like I did 2 years ago, which I say that with that kind of condescending voice, but and if you feel that way, I feel for you, and I've been there myself, and it's not to belittle that. It's like that's going to take a little mindset shift for sure.
Yeah. And there's something where when you see someone who's in their 40s and their whole life they've just been trying to get back to their senior year in high school.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're kind of missing some stuff here.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I also, as I get to each age milestone, I'm, I'll be 40 in a year and a half. And it's like, now I'm paying attention to all the 50-year-olds that I hear that are like, this is the best years of my life. It's like every point in life, there's been somebody ahead of me and somebody behind me who's been like, this is the best years of my life. I'm like, it's crazy. It's like, that's true forever, so long as you have a few things. You've got your physical health, your mental health, and you have, enough resources in your life to be able to not just have to constantly trade your time in order to live. Like if you can set those things up, then like you have the opportunity at any point in life to feel like these are the best years of my life, and they'll be different. Mm-hmm. And so how many peaks are we going to have in life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More than one.
I hope so. Yeah. And I'm working on my next peak. It's coming. It's coming. I don't know when. I'd like it to happen like right at 40, because I just think that would be cool.
Magical moment.
I think it's going to be cool. I'm going to blow it out for 40.
40 is going to be great for you.
It's going to be wild.
Yeah, totally. Love that for you.
All right. Well, as the topic generator of the day, as our chat GPT for the day, how would you like to close this one out?
I think that my final thought is that chasing your peak is not so much about getting the same result, but getting a new result using the same resources that led to the first one, only with added wisdom and experience.
Boom. The mic has been dropped, folks. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.